Hi, I'm here to talk about who my favorite DC villains are, and there's so many DC villains that I love, and it's really hard for me to go for what my personal favorites are, but I think that I've done it, and it's hard because I could have so many other villains, particularly Batman villains. In 10th place, is a personal favorite. I can understand why this character wouldn't be on many other people's lists, but it is the Weeper, uh, Bullet Man, Bullet Girl villain. But I love the Weeper from Batman, the Brave, and the Bold. And with villains that have years of stories that I love, putting the Weeper on my list for one episode of a Batman cartoon show could seem very odd, but if I'm being honest about who my personal favorites are, the Weeper is one of my favorites. I love his very interesting gimmick where he does evil things, but instead of acting like excited about it, like, "Raw, I'm taking over the world," he's sad. And that's very interesting. He has this very odd crying gimmick. It could have been very easily annoying, but I find him to be very entertaining. I love his design. I love Tim Conway's voice act. I just love just pretty much just everything about the Weeper. So he did make my list, even though it could be argued that he shouldn't, but it's my personal favorite. In ninth place is Deathstroke. Very consistently awesome character that elevates the Teen Titans franchise to such high levels, and it's really him and Raven that make the franchise so compelling. And like how Raven's one of the coolest DC heroes, I think that Deathstroke's one of the coolest DC villains. In eighth place is Two Face. Two Face just a villain that's been so interesting in too many versions of Batman for him to not be on my list. And exploring all the stuff about duality just tends to be endlessly fascinating when it comes to Two Face. Is he a really heroic person? Is he an evil person? Are there times where he can almost feel like an anti-hero? Are there times where he just feels like a villain? There's just so many interesting layers to Two-Face, and just exploring all the different stuff about his character. It's just so much fun. It's just really interesting to think about, and he's a character that I've just really grown to just find such a fascinating, important Batman character. In seventh place is Lionel Luthor. I absolutely love John Glover's performance, and I avoided Smallville for a long time because I thought a show about Clark Kent before he became Superman would be so boring, and it ended up being really interesting. I really regret not giving it a chance sooner. And if I had known what interesting character Lionel Luthor is, I certainly would have watched it sooner. I love how he adds so much to the stories and the stuff going on with his son and going on with Clark. There's just so many things to explore. I just love the character so much. In sixth place is Egghead because of Vincent Price. Vincent Price is one of my favorite actors of all time. I keep this bust of him close to me because I love him so much. Vincent Price is one of the most delightful actors of all time, and I love him so much that even though the Batman villain he played was a character that was a villain that had an egg gimmick, Egghead's one of my favorite Batman villains despite that. That's just how much I love Vincent Price. In fifth place is Hugo Strange, one of the most underrated Batman villains of all time. I absolutely love him. I think he's just so interesting in how he's has this very strong obsession with Batman, and I could pretty much consider him like a villainous Batman fan, where he loves Batman like I do, but because he thinks Batman's interesting and he wants to antagonize against him, but also study him and analyze him. So he's like Batman fans, except that he's evil, but he's a very interesting character. In fourth place is Lex Luthor, one of the greatest arch enemies of all time. just a character that just has so many great adaptations, and he just has so much Superman franchise. Absolutely love him. Third place is the Riddler, one of the most consistently entertaining villains of all time. Just an absolutely delightful, hilarious, just lovably entertaining character. Just absolutely wonderful. Second place, the Penguin. A character that really feels like Batman's second arch enemy to me, especially a lot of the early adaptations. I guess other villains could be considered Batman's second arch enemy now, but I still like to think of Penguin as the second most prominent Batman villain. He's just so consistently entertaining. It's just a character that I've enjoyed in every adaptation of Batman that I've ever seen. Even when there's adaptations of Batman that I don't really care for, I still enjoy the Penguin. He's just that consistently great, so I think he earns second place. And first place is the Joker, one of the most entertaining villains that there's ever been. Just absolutely scary character, but a very fascinating character. One of the most stylish comic book villains, and arguably one of the most stylish characters in all of comics in general. He's just a very entertaining character. There's been so many great versions of him, and I just absolutely enjoy the character, and I love seeing the Joker. And you can let me know what you think of my list, and you can let me know who some of your favorite DC villains are.